Great. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are joining us from the world. My name is Tomlola Biodun, and I will be the instructor. Will I say an instructor? I'm going to be the moderator for today's webinar. Um, Okay, I still got a notification that somebody would be removed from the meeting when the transcription starts. If you're removed from the meeting, please just go ahead and join. Carol, just go ahead and join. All right. So, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening. I hope it's not too late, depending on where you're joining us. My name is Tomola Biodun, and I'm the founder of Tailor Consulting. And I would also be hosting this webinar from good to great, how to elevate your MBA application. I see a lot of people are joining us and trickling in, so that's really very exciting. And please note that this webinar is going to be very interactive, so don't feel like you can't ask questions. Please use the chat box to ask us any questions that you actually want to ask, and myself and a member of my team will be happy to actually answer those questions. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of an introduction about myself. So who am I? My name is Tomola Biodun. I am currently a senior technical product manager at Microsoft in the Microsoft Security Organization. I have been at Microsoft for 5 years since I graduated from business school in 2019. I attended the Ohio State University Fisher College of Business for my MBA. And prior to my MBA, I used to work at PwC Nigeria in the financial services audit team. And that's where I also got my Nigerian CPA qualification. I worked at PwC for about 3 years and 10 months before I came to the US for my MBA in 2017. So technically, where you guys are at right now, I was in your position about 8 years ago, because it was 8 years ago, 2016, that I started my entire MBA process and my MBA journey, and I came to business school in 2017. The reason why Tailor Consulting actually does exist is born out of my desire to ensure that people do not make the same mistakes that I have made, and to ensure that I bridge the information gap so that people have access to a lot of information, they have access to opportunities, and they are very prepared for the next level of opportunities that they might get. Because a lot of times what actually differentiates a successful person from a non-successful person is the fact that the successful person actually did prepare way in advance of the opportunities that you're going to get, because you don't even know when you will get those opportunities. So how ready would you be for an opportunity? That's why Tailor Consulting actually does exist. So a little bit about us. My goal, or the goal of Tailor Consulting, or why we exist, is we want to be the plug. We want to ensure that we connect young professional students around the world to be ready for their next career and academic opportunities, acceleration opportunities. And our desire is to ensure that students are able to tell their stories better, identify opportunities for growth, and learn how to connect their past to their future. Now, how did Tailor Consulting start? I can tell you a little bit about it for five minutes. So I've always been very passionate about career development, even while back home in Nigeria. I was the person that would attend every assessment. I would pass the assessment. I just was really very driven. And I'm not just going to say I was driven just because I was driven, because a lot of times people do not acknowledge their privileges. Yes, I acknowledge my privilege. I grew up in a home where career development was very, very pivotal, and it was priority. And I grew up seeing my dad and his friends actually make very great career decisions for themselves. They started actually working in big fours before I was even born. So getting born into that kind of environment and that kind of family, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to work at PwC, and I knew that, oh, nothing was going to stop me. I knew the opportunities I was going to present to me. I just knew those things. And I knew that irrespective of if I knew anybody or not, if I put in the right energy, if I put in the right effort, if I had the right focus, I would get to anywhere I wanted to get to. So a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people don't have those opportunities. A lot of people don't have those privileges. So I have to acknowledge my privilege. I have to acknowledge the fact that people ahead of me have done things to make it easier for me. Hence, my desire to actually do that and pay it forward to make sure it's easier for other people. But coming to business school was a little different. It was a totally different ball game. I got into business school. My friends and I actually started preparing together. We shared a lot of our learnings, our experiences. I got a full ride to Ohio State with monthly stipend, and it was really amazing. I felt like, oh, Tommy, everything has been going so well for you in this life. I think this is how it's just going to be going forward. But things actually became really very different in my first year of the MBA program. I would say I struggled a whole lot. I struggled with imposter syndrome. I struggled with really transitioning to the United States because our academic system in Nigeria is very different. And for a lot of international students, they actually do feel the same way. But not just that. Remember that I said that I was somebody that was very, very passionate about career development in Nigeria. And that's because all of the jobs that I did get were me taking assessments first. And I'm an assessment person, right? If it's about quant or verbal, especially like the assessments for jobs, it was very easy for me. But America is very different. It was more communication based. It was more storytelling based. And I didn't really have that. And I didn't know that I had to prepare way in advance for a lot of things. For example, preparing way in advance for a networking session, actually practicing how to talk to somebody before you talk to somebody. Those were not the kind of things that I actually did back home. So I would say that I actually did fail a lot. So I got several interviews for internships, but I didn't get an offer. I actually did get an unpaid internship. The startup founder was so nice to me. He was amazing. And that actually provided me an opportunity to actually do something for the summer. And that was when I woke up and I said, Tommy, you've done so well for yourself. You shouldn't actually dwell in self-pity. You shouldn't now be like, oh, this didn't work out for me, so I'm sad. It's okay. It's okay for you to fail. The reason why you've actually failed is so that you can teach other people. So I decided to pick myself back up. And I was really very, very self-aware because I knew that it wasn't the fault of my school. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was my fault. Averagely, even with the youngest set of people, no matter how young you are at least 20 or 21 years old if you're so young to get into a master's program. So you're an adult. You're responsible for your decisions. You're responsible for your actions. So I took the responsibility up for myself to say that, oh, Tommy, you have to do things very, very differently for yourself. And then I was self-aware enough to know where I struggled. I was self-aware enough to know where I needed help. I started working with my career services team more. I started speaking to a lot of my friends that achieved success when I failed. And things turned around. Still in the same year, I moved from having several interviews to not having an offer to having several interviews again and getting offers again. And I was able to land my role at Microsoft. And that was when I started supporting a lot of my peers and a lot of my juniors because I was in the second year, my first years. And I said, oh, I can actually do this thing for real. And then I had like a few friends coming to business school. And I knew a lot of people actually did struggle with business school interviews and struggle with storytelling. And I started helping them. And I said, okay, now that I'm graduating, why don't I start tailor consulting? Why don't I start helping people? And then I started it just a week after graduating. And tailor consulting actually was 5 years old last month. So it's like my little baby is I don't know if she's a he or a she, but I think she's a she. She's a toddler at 5, and I think she's really doing really, really well for a 5-year-old company or business. And that's why I started providing admission services and career services to students because a lot of times, so I would say for myself, I got an opportunity to do it again. I got several opportunities to do it again. And I would always acknowledge that that is also a privilege. For a lot of people, they don't have that opportunity to do it again. It's just that one time. For a lot of people, they just have that one shot. So how do I make sure that for people that will have that one shot, they make the best out of that one shot? For some people, they get just one interview. How do you make sure that they convert that one interview to an offer? Not everybody will have the chance to do it over and over again, right? So that's actually the story of tailor consulting. And we've achieved success over the years. A few of our clients have gotten admissions to several schools from the top 20, top 30, top 40, even schools in Canada and the United Kingdom. When I mean United Kingdom schools, I mean like London Business School kind of schools. And then for job offers, we've had our clients get job offers even before they get into the MBA program. That's through our Head Start program. So that's just like an overview of Titanial Consulting Services. Today, we're going to be focusing on the admission aspect of Titanial Consulting Services. I know that a lot of you here are actually seeking admission to business school to start in the fall of 2025. And here I want to explain to you the things that you can do to stand out, to do better, and talk to you about Titanial Consulting Services that can actually help you. So just a few things about us. We have one-on-one MBA coaching. We are actually starting our MBA Admits Bootcamp, which is a group coaching. I've achieved great success with group coaching for career development. So group coaching for admissions actually is going to be our priority for this fall 2025 admission cycle. And we hope to see a lot of you in our group coaching programs. So these are some of our success stories here. Now, the MBA, Master of Business Administration. And I want this to be very interactive. I want you all to be participative. I want you to type answers in the chat box. And the reason why I want you to do that is if you're actually going to be successful as an MBA candidate, you need to learn how to speak up. You need to learn how to talk. You need to learn how to ask questions and give your opinion, even if you don't think it's correct, even if you don't think it's the right thing to say. But just you saying it, you being confident enough to say it, is something that would help you stand out as an incoming MBA candidate and even in the MBA program. So when I ask questions, please don't be shy. There are no stupid questions. There are no stupid answers. Put your answer in the chat box. If you're not right, I will tell you you're not right, and I'll tell you what the right thing is. But what I don't want you to do is just listen and don't participate. It's important that you participate. That's the only way you can actually stand out and be distinct compared to all of the amazing, smart people that are applying for their MBA programs across the world. So the MBA program is very popular. And a lot of times people ask, why do I want to do an MBA? Maybe I want to do a master's in business analytics, or maybe I want to do a master's in accounting, and I want to do a master's in maybe finance, right? So first, a master's in a traditional master's program is very different from an MBA. First of all, the MBA is more professional inclined. That means a lot of people in the MBA program actually have good number of years of experience. I would say the range is like between 4 to 8 years across several schools for the MBA program. For the traditional master's program, most people here are actually just from undergrad. So they just completed their undergraduate degree and then they're coming for like a master's degree. So most people in the traditional master's degree program are like between 19 to 23 years old. They're pretty young. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't have people that are much older in the traditional master's program, or we won't have very young people in the MBA program. We do have young people in the MBA program also, like, 23-year-old young. 25, 26 are like average age, but like 23-year-old, 22-year-old, some of them are in the MBA program, but I'm just talking about like the average. Now, what happens is because there is a career trajectory attached to different degrees, the MBA program has, I won't say a faster trajectory, no, but the MBA program places you at a higher level than a traditional master's program for university recruiting purposes. So if you are somebody that you already have 5 years of experience and you're going to have 5 or 4 years of experience by next year, September or August, when you're supposed to start the program, I actually would advise that an MBA program will be much better suited for you than a traditional master's program. And because the MBA program provides you an opportunity to learn different facets of business, from accounting to strategy to analytics to technology, data science, you can do a whole lot of things. So you're not really siloed in an approach. So if you want to go into the MBA program and you're saying, maybe I want to do operations, and then you get into class and you're like, I don't want to do operations, I don't know what's happening here, it's totally fine, right? You can decide to have another focus area. But if you go to a traditional master's program and you already said, oh, I want to do operations masters, you cannot unsay that. You are going to have to finish it. So if you already have like 3, 4, 5 years of experience, the MBA might be great for you. But if you're really, really very convinced to say, well, I think I just want to go into main finance and I don't really want to do an MBA, that's totally fine. At the end of the day, everything is your choice. And if you have thought really deeply about it and you already have people that you admire in those fields that already have particular degree that you want to have, then that's also totally fine. Please know that I'm just giving you my own honest opinion about the program. So now, one good thing about the MBA is people ask me, can I do an MBA? Can I do an MBA? Anybody can do an MBA. Anybody at all can do an MBA. The MBA actually values a whole lot of diversity in the program. You have doctors, you have scientists, you actually have K to 12 teachers, like high school teachers. You have musicians, you have engineers, and then you have like accountants to like business people, marketing people. But you actually do have a whole lot of people that don't have traditional business backgrounds. And that's because the entire class is beyond what you're being taught in the class. It's a whole lot of exchange of information. It's a whole lot of fusion of minds and ideas. So it just goes beyond what your background is. So even if you have a non-traditional background, even if you haven't had any proper Big Four experience or bank experience or anything like that, it doesn't mean you cannot get into the program. At the end of the day, it is the story that you are trying to tell. So how exactly do you tell your story? What stories do you tell? How exactly can you showcase that you are bringing value to the program? How exactly can you tell a story about a problem you are trying to solve in the world? And how exactly can you ensure that that problem that you're trying to solve, the solution is scalable? They want people that are thinking beyond themselves. So how do you position yourself, your story, to think beyond yourself, right? That's what is priority for a lot of business schools, not necessarily the fact that, oh, you're actually an accountant or you actually do have a business background in finance or anything like that. So there are several things that schools actually consider before making like a final admit decision. And all of these things that the schools consider is what will make your application actually stand out. So there are several things, and I will go through them one after the other, and I will show you how to actually stand out across board, right? I will start with the elephant in the room, which is the standardized test score. Now, your standardized test scores are an important aspect of your application, especially if you're an international student. Your standardized test score is so important if you're an international student, really, really important. Now, your standardized test scores are used to actually show your quantitative, qualitative readiness for the program. The MBA program is very, very, very rigorous, super rigorous, and it's not that you have to be exactly smart in a particular way, but it's just so rigorous that you have to be able to be quantitatively good. And you can study English and be quantitatively good. It doesn't mean you can't be quantitatively good, but you need to really be good. Now, this is where a lot of people ask questions and they're like, oh, my standardized test score is not good. What do I do about this? Now, good is very, very relative. Please note that all of these things, schools look at everything as a whole and they don't look at it in silos. So I will always say that standardized tests are things that you study way in advance for. It's not something you study 2 weeks before. It's not something you study 2 months before. It's something that you actually study months, like 6 months. People spend a year studying for their standardized tests. So I would always advise people, your journey to business school starts almost more than a year before you even start. I mean, a lot of you that want to go to school next year, this is actually a very good time for you to actually start your process. And I want to believe that everybody here has considered a standardized test and they've considered taking their standardized test. So this is not something that should be rushed. However, you need to know that when schools evaluate your standardized tests, they also know what they're doing. They're evaluating your test based off of every other thing that you have submitted. So this means that even if you got like a 305 or 310 in your standardized test, you're not a write-off. You're not a write-off at all. You're not a write-off. You actually could be a very great candidate, depending on what your undergraduate GPA is, depending on what your type of experience is, depending on your split between your quantitative and your verbal part of the standardized test score, and also your analytical writing. People think analytical writing is not considered, but it's very, very considered. Now, there's been so much, I wouldn't say rumor, there's been too much news about standardized test score fraud, especially from West Africa. Now, I don't know how to say this in a way that will not be mean, but if the plan is that you want somebody to take your test for you, you are making a huge mistake, and it's going to deter your future, not just now, but it's going to deter your future. And one thing a lot of people don't know, especially if you're coming to the United States, is the United States does not forget and does not forgive. So I would always advise people, do not take the shortcut. Do not take the shortcut. Make sure that you do the right things you're supposed to do at the right time. If you're saying, oh, somebody can take my test for me, you can. Let me just tell you, the schools they're not dumb, right? They will figure it out. And when they figure it out, they will send you out of the program. And in case you don't know, a lot of people have been sent out of the program. What are you going to do if they send you out of the program? What literally would you do when you could have actually just studied for your exam and taken it and passed on your own and showcase that, oh, I actually do have this proficiency? And I know sometimes it can be hard if everybody around you is doing it, but are you everybody? Now, a lot of schools are getting wind of this and they're not taking at-home tests because, I mean, that's where the fraud is. So if that's your goal, I would say desist from it. And even me from Titan Consulting, I'm able to tell now from clients. So I will not take you up as a client because I do not want any bad reputation assigned with me. So if that's what you're thinking about doing, I would advise you to kill that idea before it even grows. Take your tests, practice and prepare. This is because the entire MBA process itself, getting into school, is preparing you for the life that you're going to have in school and even after school. Everything is a character building process. And if you cannot deal with small failures, you're not going to be able to deal with failures in the business school. You're not going to be able to pick yourself back up, right? And you don't want to be in a position where, oh, you actually said you got a huge test score, and then you cannot even pass accounting. You cannot even pass finance in the business school. That makes it very, very, very awkward, right? So please, I am reiterating this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't. Just don't do it. Because schools can really evaluate and they can see, and most of them are seeing it now. And not only are you going to be doing something bad for yourself, you're going to be spoiling the reputation of people after you. And then how will you not be different from the government that you are trying to antagonize? You're just going to be the same thing. In fact, you're even worse. So I'm spending time now to talk about it because when people reach out to me and they tell me they have a particular score, I know. I just know. So just don't do it. Because if I know, the schools will know too. They're not dull. Everybody will catch up to it. So start taking your test. Practice a lot. It's not that you just read and then after like a month, you take an exam. No, like you practice every week. It's building. You practice every week. You keep practicing. You keep building it. And then you now have your your undergraduate GPA. The thing is, there's nothing you can do about your undergraduate GPA. If you already graduated from school and you have a GPA, you cannot do anything about it. That is what it is. And for a lot of us, no, I won't say a lot of us. For a lot of people, their undergraduate GPA actually is low, but there's nothing that they can do to the undergraduate GPA at the moment. But there are things that you can do to improve your chances, showcasing that, okay, despite my undergraduate GPA being low, these are the things that I have done. And a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, even if my undergraduate GPA is low and I have a high GRE score, it makes up for it. No, think about it this way. If you had a third class in undergrad, the GRE that you are taking 6 years after undergrad cannot be the first thing that you are ever doing to actually show that you have quantitative experience. It can't be. It can't be. It does not match. the profile does not align. It doesn't. And you're going to be a flag. So if you have a very bad result, take your time, because, I mean, it's not because you're dull. A lot of things happen to people in college. And sometimes people actually were not serious in school. Let's be objective. They were playing, right? Some people had challenges, but a lot of people were playing. And that's fine. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It just meant that you didn't prioritize it at the time. So what are the other things that you have done? Have you taken other exams? What quantitative, high quantitative level work have you done after graduation to show that you actually do have a lot of skills in mathematics, in finance? Like what are the things that you have done to show that? You need to be able to show it. So this is by going through like different workshops, having like evidences that shows that, okay, this person has actually developed a lot of our quantitative skills, right? Have you done projects on your own? Have you built models on your own? You need to showcase that, right? And add that to your undergraduate GPA. If you're currently in school and you're thinking, oh, maybe my result is not so good, and you have 1 or 2 years left in undergrad, then I think you need this time to push so much so that you can come out with a very, very good GPA. Then you now have years of experience. Your years of experience are really very important. If you are an international student, I would always say having 3 years of experience, at least 3 years of experience, is good. This is because a lot of the companies that would hire you, because I want to believe you're going to school to be hired. A lot of companies that will hire you require you to have 3 years of experience. And when the schools are evaluating you for admission, they want a candidate that is hireable. Think about it. The schools want to hire you, they want to admit you because they want you to be hireable by companies that would increase their ranking. They don't just want to admit you because they think you're good. They want to admit you because they think you're good for the system. So you need to think through, oh, if my years of experience are not a lot, what chances would I get at some of these schools? And yes, you really do get some chances, but you need to be able to sell your story well. So if you have like 2 years, you need to be able to talk about a whole lot of things that you have done to show that despite having 2 years of experience, you're really solid. Now, I know not everybody here is Nigerian, but for people that are Nigerians, they do something called NYSC. That is valid work experience. That is your experience that you've had after undergrad. And when I tell people that 1 year experience that you have, you need to make the best of it. So a lot of times people spend it not being relevant or just gallivanting. It's valid years of experience. So you need to add it to your resume, and you need to actually do something that is actually meaningful in your NYC if you do anything like that. If not, every experience that you've had after undergrad is your valid years of work experience. Now, let me take this to the extreme. There are people that actually have a lot of years of experience. So if you're having more than 10 years of experience, that is a lot. Now, a lot of schools do not want you to have a lot of years of experience, because even though the MBA program is professional, 10 years of experience is a lot, right? Because they want people with like 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years of experience. So if you're having 10 years, you need to be able to explain why you are just having an MBA at that time. And then you have to do a whole lot of networking. I mean, I will talk about it later, but you need to be able to do a lot of networking. And then you need to be very realistic with the kind of schools that you apply to. There are a lot of schools that averagely, they don't want to take older international students. And that's fine. They just don't want to. Now, there are schools that do not mind. So as an older candidate, you need to look at the schools and say, okay, all of the international students that have previously attended these schools, what's their age range? How many years of work experience do they have? And then you can use that to position yourself for success, right? And then you can now use that to categorize, oh, is this going to be my target school? Is this going to be my safe school? Is this going to be my rich school? They now have type of work experience. MBA programs actually prioritize leadership experiences. Doesn't mean that technically you must be like a lead on your resume. No, not really. It just means that you need to be able to showcase a lot of things on your resume that shows that you actually have leadership experience. And then your type of experience actually does stand out, is what I actually did speak about. Were you a doctor? Are you into marketing? Do you do business? Are you an entrepreneur? So you need to think about all of those things all the experiences that you bring to the table. And then you need to find out, oh, okay, if I actually do have a finance background and I want to apply to this particular school at this particular time, would I get a good shot? Right? Am I a pharmacist? If I'm a pharmacist, what kind of story am I going to tell for post-MBA? So schools actually do want diverse work experience. Now, when I tell people that, oh, yes, it's, a lot of people think that, oh, it's great that they have business experiences, which is good. However, with a business experience, um, applying in second round actually might be harder for you to get in because a whole lot of people with business experiences have applied in the first round. And that's why if you see that, oh, I actually have the CFA qualification, I have the CPA, I have all of these qualifications, but they keep waitlisting me. And that's because you applied in the second round, because a lot of people with all of those qualifications have actually applied in the first round. So if you're from a very traditional business background, I would actually do advise that you prioritize first round applications over second round. And that's when you see a lot of the people that they take in like second round actually have diverse backgrounds, because the schools want to add diversity, and not just in color or in race. They want to add diversity in experiences to their MBA program. And then your resume, to make your resume stand out, you need to actually start writing your resume the way a prospective MBA candidate, a current MBA candidate will write it. Imagine your resume already looks like somebody that can get a job the next day. The admissions team's going to be like, well, I don't think I'm going to have to do so much work with this person. This person is already set up for success. So you need to appear like you are set up for success. That's how you stand out. And then portfolio is, it depends on you, right? It's a very master's specific thing. But there's some of you that are entrepreneurs, some of you are designers, and then you have like a portfolio of several things. So what I would always advise is maybe create a website of yourself, and then include all of the things that you have done in that website and link that also on your resume. So when somebody clicks it, they can see everything that you have done. For me, I worked at PwC for 3 years and 10 months. I did not have anything like a portfolio. I just had an ICANN certification. That's all I had. That's all, right? But for some of you, you actually come from non-traditional artistic background. So it's fine for you to put things together and showcase it to the admissions team. Now, volunteering experience and passion. The MBA program is very big on paying it forward. The MBA program is very big on you supporting people that cannot traditionally support themselves. So you need to have volunteer experiences. You need to have other passions. You need to have other things that you have done. And to me, I even feel beyond even coming for an MBA, as a human being, what are you doing to help other human beings? What are you doing to close the gap in a particular area? I'm not saying you should help 1,000 people. What are you doing to help one person? What's that passion that you have? And it could be as simple as, oh, you actually teach high school kids, or you actually teach elementary school kids mathematics on the weekends. That is volunteering, right? And you can even talk about your passion. You could talk about, oh, you love swimming, you're a competitive swimmer, like you're an athlete, you love to play soccer. But even with your passion, you need to talk about how your passion brings people together. So I know that for a lot of people, like the stress alone from their home country is so much, and they're like, this one wants me to even have passion. Like, which passion does she expect me to have? I know it's hard, but you need to find your passion. You need to do something else just beyond you having a day job. You need to find something that excites you, and it could be food, really. It could be that you love cooking, but how exactly has that impacted the lives of other people, right? You need to think through that really well, because when you're having conversations with these schools, those are the kind of things that they like to hear. Almost every school is very big on volunteering, and they're always very big on paying it forward. Although some schools have like different things that they focus on, but a lot of them, like something that cuts across is paying it forward. Schools want you to pay it forward. Their most successful alums, or the alums that they actually revere the most, are the ones that are able to pay it forward, look back and pay it forward. So what have you done? What are you doing to pay it forward? How can you talk about that? That increases your chances. And then your career prospects. You have to be realistic with your career prospects. So you need to figure out, okay, this career prospect that I have, is it a career prospect that people in the country that I'm going to actually have? So a lot of times people want to do things that it's not an MBA type job after school. I mean, the entrepreneurs are very different. And if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, you have to be able to tell your story really well for entrepreneurship. But apart from that, if you're thinking about getting a job, that job that you are saying it's in your career process, do they take international students in those roles? Normally. You need to think deeply about that. So if they don't take international students in those roles, if those roles are not even very, very open to MBAs generally, the school would see that this person, their prospects, we're not going to be able to support this person's prospect, and then they don't want to take you. So you need to be very realistic with, I know you all have like ambitious goals, people want to work on the moon and all of those things, but you need to be realistic. This is something that the MBA candidates can do. If it's something that an MBA candidate can do, fine. If it's something that MBA candidates have done in the past, fine. If not, reposition your career prospect. And something else is you should also align your career prospect with the career prospect of the school. Now, like Titanal Consulting exists to actually debunk all of the myths of, oh, you need to go to a particular school to get a particular job. No, a lot of our clients have gotten jobs in several places, despite going to top 50 schools or even schools that are not even ranked. Actually, they have gotten the top jobs. Yes, that is possible. I mean, that happens because getting a job is just beyond just going to your school, and that's a topic for another day. It's you yourself and the amount of effort you're willing to put in. But from an admissions perspective, the admissions team, they're very different from the career team, and they want to know that if we admit this person, are we actually going to set the person up for success? So you need to figure out, okay, all of the people that have attended these schools this school that I'm interested in previously, what companies have they been able to get into? Tap into those companies and tap into that as, oh, I think this is where I want to work, because it makes them feel more comfortable, right? And also based off of like your background and your experience, if your desire is a little different, right, for your background, from your experience, you need to be able to explain that. Right? You need to be able to explain that, okay, this is where I'm at right now. Maybe I currently work as a nurse. And yes, I know the MBA is going to provide opportunity for me to move into banking, but these are the things that I'm going to do to make sure that I set myself up to move into banking. Like, you're not just going to say, oh, this is my desire. You need to be able to say the steps, the actionable steps that you're going to take to actually get there. Right? And then you now have essays. Your essays are how you tell your story. Your essays are how you actually stand out. Right? So you don't come with like generic essays. And I think I can check here. Almost everybody here is probably an international student or has some form of diversity. The entire story of I actually walked 20 miles to school, I actually suffered, we're so poor, is very overflowed. Really. I understand that a lot of people actually do come from those humble backgrounds, but the reality is most of you don't. And I'm not saying you are rich people. No, no. But we need to understand that there is privilege and there are different levels to privileges. It's okay for you to be a privileged person. It's okay for you to be privileged and still understand that people are suffering. So you don't have to sell the sub story all the time of, oh, I actually suffered, my parents did this. Your parents didn't do that. You did not suffer. It's okay for you to, suffering is like, and when you think about suffering, like suffering does not mean you have to eat from the ground. You understanding that, oh, there's no 24-hour power supply, and that actually did affect your father's business. It didn't grow as much as it should grow, right? Doesn't mean that you guys couldn't eat. No, it just means that you are aware enough the challenges that epileptic's power supply has had on your father's businesses and several businesses. Doesn't mean you are poor. So you don't have to really say, oh, okay, you walked several miles to school. Those things, they don't, no. In fact, they like people who actually acknowledge their privilege and know that, okay, I'm actually privileged in a particular area, but I can do this to actually improve. And I actually also lack in certain areas, and this is where I want to get to. So don't think that your story always has to be a sub story. It doesn't. And then your recommendation letters, I mean, I think you all know that they should come from like your work bosses. So always try to use like a supervisor or somebody that can stand like a supervisor. I know a lot of people like, oh, I don't want people in my office to know that I'm going to school, everything like that. I totally get that. But even if you're not going to use a direct supervisor, the person should have been in a supervisory position for you. You don't, like, if you're using everybody's your peer, at least let somebody be in a supervisory position. And always provide the right guidance for recommendation letters. Don't just send them an email and say, oh, fill the recommendation. A lot of times, people that haven't had an MBA do not understand the importance of recommendation letters. So a lot of those questions that they get, they don't answer it well. I've had an experience where somebody sent a recommendation letter to a manager or a peer or something, and the person said, oh, I recommend her, she's a good person. That's what the person wrote. You know, you can actually not, you can say you want to see the recommendation, right? You can not, maybe you don't waive your right to the recommendation. That is what we saw there. I recommend her, she's a good person. What kind of thing is that? And that can only happen because you did not actually coach your recommender on what they should include there. So it's up to you to figure out what's the recommendation style of these business schools. How can I help my recommenders help me write something really good, right? And then you can start picking out from like a lot of your reviews at work and putting all of those things together. But you need to make sure that you provide the right guidance. And then your admissions interviews actually would make you or mar you. You can have the best of everything, right? Your standardized test scores, they're decent, your GPA is great, your work experience is fantastic, your essay is good. If you're not able to actually do your admissions interview really well, they're going to drop you. So how do you prep for your interviews? Do you use the STAR framework? Do you have several mock interviews? Those things are very important. And then your communication and interaction with the school. Networking is super key. Don't think that, oh, I don't have to network, I will just go and apply. No, you have to network, right? People hire people. People admit people. And then based off of the interactions that you've had with people, they will advocate for you. An example is I think last week at the office, I got one of the new interns, had a conversation with her. And to be honest, the conversation was so mind-blowing and insightful. There is no, like, if I was in a position to do anything for her, she would come first. Irrespective of what her test score is or anything, she would come first because she actually knew how to interact well. She knew how to communicate her value 100%. So you need to know how to do that. A lot of you get into webinars, you turn off your camera, nobody knows what you're doing. Like, you're not even putting a face to anything. How do people remember you? How do people know you? They don't know you, they don't remember you, and that's it. And you're like, oh, I actually did attend that webinar. What impact did you make at the webinar? What are the things that you said at the webinar? What are the things that they can remember? Do you remember the names of those people? Did you send them thank you after? Right? If they actually call your name within the admissions committee, would they remember you 100%? Or would they even remember you at all? So those are things that you have to do. And that's how you actually will move your application from just ordinary to actually great. The reality is a whole lot of you are applying to business school and you need to stand out to actually get into the program, right? And all of these things, it's not just preparing you to get admitted, it's character development and building for you to be able to achieve your career goals, which is probably going to entrepreneurship, if it's to actually land a job, a good internship, if it's actually also to come back home, you need all of those things to prepare you. So don't see this as, oh, I'm just going to do this haphazardly. No, it's a process. It has to be properly, really structured. You need to be able to identify all of these areas to say, okay, everything that I know has talked about today, which of these areas do I actually struggle with? And how can I improve it? I mean, I already mentioned that undergraduate GPA, I don't think there's anything you can do technically to improve the GPA itself, but there are things that you can do to showcase that despite having a low quantitative background, I have been able to do the following things. And I've said, you having the GRE or the GMAT score cannot be the only thing that you have that shows that, oh, I actually did have a third class, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm a superstar, now I have a good test score. No, that's not how it works. It doesn't go like that. It doesn't flow like that. Your story is not going to be coherent. So what are the things that you have done? How do you show that you have quantitative experience? How do you show that you can actually survive the rigors of business school? Those are the things that you actually do need to think through, and you need to build on top of to achieve success. So I'm sure, like with everything I've said, you're all wondering, okay, now after all of these things this girl has said, how can I improve it? How can I do better? Like, I think that I'm not sure if my profile fits all of these things, but what can I do? Oh, well, there are several things that you can do. And while we will not be talking about those several things on the call, you can book an appointment with Titanal Consulting for like a one-on-one evaluation session. And then we can go through like your profile and give you like advice on what you can improve and not, and what is actually great. So this is like the range of like the profile. And then I would love that all of you here actually apply early. See, it's important to actually apply early. Higher acceptance rates. You have opportunities with networking. You will see a lot of times people are like, oh, I wasn't able to network with anybody because you started networking in second round. Your networking starts now. Now the admissions teams, they have more time, they have more flexibility. So students are doing their internships. They are like, it's a little less like chaotic. So starting your networking now is actually really great. You're able to stand out, right? And you get like an early decision. There's reduced stress on you. And then you're able to now focus on, okay, how do I now start my career journey way in advance of me starting school? But if you're just applying like in the final round or the third round, it's too chaotic. So I would advise that you actually apply early. But even if you're going to apply early, you need to make sure that you are doing the right things, not just, oh, I just put in like a bad application early. There is no award for submitting on time, but submitting the wrong thing. There's no award for it at all. Even if you're going to submit on time, you need to make sure that you're submitting the very right things. So I think I did explain this, but you need to be able to tell your story well. And it's through your resume and through your essays and also through networking, but primarily through essays. You need to develop storytelling. And the reality is storytelling is not what everybody knows how to do. Storytelling is actually difficult. It's tough to come up with like your why and how. It's tough to actually do that, because you have to do a lot of retrospective thinking and you have to wonder, how exactly do I connect with this person? And then you have to think through what problem I'm trying to solve. All of those things are not easy to get done, but that's where Titanal Consulting actually does come in. So we actually do have packages and programs for you that would actually help you with storytelling, that would help you with networking, that would help you teach your recommenders how to write great recommendation letters for you, right? Help you with connecting the dots between the problem that you're trying to solve and the way the school can help you solve the problem. So all of those things come together to tell like a very coherent story and help you sell yourself as one big package that is going to be like, oh, if any school doesn't take me, the school is going to be missing out. And at this point, there's no margin of error for you to just be complacent or for you to just be average. You can't be average. You can't be basic. You can be extraordinary, right? So those are the things that would actually make you stand out. So I did give you some insights regarding like networking already. You have insights to your program, you strengthen your application, you increase visibility with the admission committees, so many things with like networking. So there are a lot of things that the schools talk about. There are a lot of things that the schools do, but you don't even find it on the website. So all of those things, all of those salient facts that you can actually include on your essays, you get it from networking. So networking is so important, but I know that networking is actually not something that a lot of us are taught to do. Like why am I networking? I don't want to talk to anybody. I get that. It's tough. And this is where Titanal Consulting comes in. We're going to be helping you with like networking and all of those things. I mean, we're not going to be helping you with the networking. We're going to teach you how to network. So let me be clear with what we're going to be doing. So why do you need a coach like Titanal Consulting? You're going to be getting expert guidance. I'm going to be teaching you. And a teacher is someone that has gone through the same experience that you have gone through, and not just gone through that experience, that has actually failed at it, right? And I'm not oblivious to the failures that people actually do have. I know, right? And it might seem like, oh, maybe this girl actually has herself together, or maybe I do not. I actually do fail a lot, and based off of my failures, I learn a lot, and I use that to actually teach people. So at this point, I feel like, I mean, not everybody actually would need a coach. Some people might not need like continuous monitoring, coaching. Some people might not need that amount of guidance, but a lot of people actually do, because it's easier when you don't have to make the same mistake somebody has made. It just sets you up for success. You're able to run faster, right? A lot of the athletes that are doing so well, they've had coaches since they were kids. Their parents probably coached them. If they actually left them out to figure things out themselves, they probably will not be where they are today. So you have access to resources through us. We're going to help you with a whole lot of stuff. And we have like an array of services. So we have one-on-one services. We have the boot camp. We have, I think we have some free resources. And then we have just one-off services. So when I mean the one-on-one services, that's like an end-to-end service. And then we have the boot camp, which is like you in a group class. Then you have like add-ons, like, oh, you get like resume review, you get like interview prep that you can add to it. So irrespective of everything that you're thinking about doing, or anything you're thinking about doing, Tailor Consulting actually does have a package for you. So I would like to introduce our Admit MBA Bootcamp. So it's basically a 4-week program. So it's to prepare like prospective MBA candidates like you for successful application process. So it's 4 weeks, 2 hours every week. It focuses on all of the essential parts of the MBA application. So from helping you define your application strategy, helping you identify your stories that you want to tell, helping you merge your stories together, helping you with networking, helping you with your resume, teaching you how to actually tell your stories from the problem you're trying to solve to how you're going to solve it, right? Helping you with like interviews, teaching you how to actually interview, what the things you say in a mock interview, having mock networking sessions. So think about it as an 8-hour intense session. But the thing about this bootcamp is you're not going to be doing it alone. You are going to be doing it with peers and buddies. And something that I have learned about classes are, because I can see my classmate doing something, I'm more motivated to do it. Because you're coming to class every day with assignments and you have to get it done. And it's not just like, oh, it's just me. So you have other people and you can see that, oh, I'm not only the one struggling. And then you can see people that you can actually connect with that will be your resource. And the good thing about the bootcamp is all of the resources that are in the bootcamp, you have it till you get admitted to school, even after the recording. So you have access to the recording of your bootcamp, and it's going to be a live bootcamp. So I will be teaching the bootcamp, and you have access to ask questions, and you have access to a lot of resources. Now, in addition to the bootcamp, if you now want to have personalized coaching, right? In addition, you can now ask for, oh, okay, I think I want to have personalized 1 hour with you, or I think I want you to actually review my resume in a personalized way. And that's totally fine. You have additional guidance with that. So that's the MBA Admit Bootcamp. We are going to be having a series of it. The first set is going to start, and the first bootcamp is going to start in July. So we're going to have July, August, September, October, November. It's going to be every month. Now, the reason why the Admit Bootcamp is every month is we are all very, very different. And we have our different priorities, and we have our different, will I say, priorities per time. Now, the July and August bootcamp are primarily for people that want to apply in round 1. And irrespective of if you have your test score available, I would advise you to actually start and get into the early bootcamps, because getting into the early bootcamps provides you an opportunity to get a lot of things done, and then just adding your test score with it and then submitting your application. A lot of the round 1 applications are September, October. So July, August, September bootcamps will really be good. Although the September bootcamp might be a little tight if you have to submit your application in 2 weeks, right? But it depends totally on you. So we have the link to register for the bootcamp. So go ahead and register for the bootcamp if something that you're interested in. I would like, Tailor Services had included the exact link to the bootcamp. So register for the bootcamp, and we'll be getting back to you regarding the next steps. And then I know that Tailor Consulting also shared the profile evaluation. So if you actually want to have like a free profile evaluation, and I think that's a 15-minute meeting, we'll talk to you about like your profile, how I actually think you stack. and you can ask any question regarding the bootcamp or any of Tatenar services. I'll be happy to offer that. And I know the Tatenar services team has actually included that link in there. So these are all of the things that it actually does cover. And then if you would like to reach us, this is our WhatsApp number, official WhatsApp number. You can reach us at coaching@tatenarconsulting.com, anu@tatenarconsulting.com. Would appreciate if you follow us on LinkedIn, rather. I just say Indeed, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and visit our website. And that will be all for my presentation today. I know a few people actually did ask questions, so I'm going to go to the Q&A. And I would answer some of this question here. So Tatenar services, I'm coming. Let me give you access to the link. I don't know why people actually do need access to the link, but I'll get it out in 1 second. Okay. Let me get it out. Settings. Yeah, so you should be able to have access to the link right now. I don't think you need access again, so I think you should be able to have access to the link right now. So let me know. Yes, so no, it's not focused majorly on the US business schools, but it's focused on top business schools. So for the United Kingdom, for example, if you're trying to get into London Business School, Oxford, you're trying to get into Cambridge, so those kind of business schools, yes. For Canada, like Rotman, Ivy, yes, those are like top business schools. The reason why I actually would say that is if you're just trying to get into like a normal school, especially if you're going to the United Kingdom, to be fair, you don't really need a coach for that, right? You can do it by yourself. You don't really need a coach for that. You can do it by yourself. The pricing for the bootcamp will be sent over to you after the registration. We're still trying to finalize pricing, but you can pay it in installment for the bootcamp. I think it's every week for 4 weeks, so you can pay in 4 installments every week just before you come to class. And it's not going to be very expensive. It's going to reflect the challenges right now in the economy that I'm very, very aware of. So yeah. So let me know if you all have been able to register, sign up for the bootcamp. Kalu and Modukpelua, I don't know if you've been able to access it right now. Let me know if the link works. So we have questions. So the first Q&A, can you list some of the schools that offer free application for the MBA program? So first of all, when it comes to application for the MBA program, I want you all to think about applying to the MBA program as an investment into your future. So yes, there are a lot of MBA programs that actually give application fee waivers, right? So application fee waivers through attending webinars, attending events. So there is no particular list. Every school and any school can give you an application fee waiver. That is if they have the fee waiver available for them, right, at the moment. So webinars, workshops, attending some of these like GMAC events, because there's a virtual GMAC event, I think it's June 19th, and Tatenar Consulting is actually going to be presenting at that event, also going to be present there. I think for some of those events, there are certain schools that would come to those events, right? And when they come to those events, maybe going to their booth actually will give you fee waivers, right? But if there are some schools that actually will not give you fee waivers, but they actually do have good track record of maybe giving good scholarships or maybe providing better opportunities for maybe your particular focus area, I would say that do not let the application fee deter you. I totally understand that, oh, it's expensive, but we need to move away from the mindset of everything has to be free. Everything cannot be free for you. You need to use money to make money. That's how it is. You need to invest something to get something out of it. So everybody I speak to, like, oh, they want you free. You can get everything free. Anything you get free, you never value it. And if you check yourself, the things that you actually pay for, you take it so seriously, like your life depends on it. And the things that you get for free, you don't value it because free things are not valued. So I'm not saying that you cannot get application fee waivers. Yes, there are several schools that give application fee waivers, but your idea, your mentality should go beyond that. It should go, okay, I'm not able to get application fee waiver from this school, but I've connected so much with them. I think I would give it a shot. And it's a risk anyways. there are no guarantees in life anyways. Everything is a risk. Everything is a probability. So I want you to take this, your MBA journey, as it's an investment into my future. I'm going to invest into my future, not just in money, but in time, in everything. And based off of that investment, I want to get rewards from it. I'm going to get returns from it. And how do I network with admissions committee? So through LinkedIn, through like webinars, through workshops. We'll be teaching all of that in the boot camp. So I think I answered the questions from Anonymous in the Q&A section. Is it possible to get a full scholarship? Yes, it is possible. I did get a full ride for my MBA, and I've had clients get full rides. Right now, I think we're about $13 million in full ride scholarships that we have gotten over the last 5 years. So yes, there are opportunities for full scholarship, but I've also had clients that they don't get full scholarships, but they took loans, and that's why we have partnership with Empower and Prodigy. But they actually did extremely well. So took loans and they were able to bag offers of $200,000 after graduation. So at the end of the day, everything is a risk. There's no guarantee, but it's more of what am I comfortable with and what are my goals? Where do I see myself in 5 years and in 10 years and in 15 years, right? I attended Ohio State University. I said it at the beginning of the presentation. Yes, I attended Ohio State University. That's the school I went to, right? So the June 19th program for GMAC, let me get it out. GMAC events. Let me see. Please keep your questions coming. Oh, it's not June. Oh, it's not June 19th. It's June 27th. I'm going to send it out to you now. It's June 27th, not June 19th. This is it. So when is my next session for an already enrolled MBA candidate? So that's like first year or second year. I think you should schedule a call with me for if you're an enrolled MBA candidate. So 2026. So okay. So just schedule a call with me. Let me put time on the calendar. So if you're an enrolled MBA candidate, I'm going to give you some time to schedule a call with me. And then, so let me see, enrolled MBA. If you're an enrolled MBA, use that to schedule a call with me. If you are not an enrolled MBA, so if you are a prospective MBA, so class of 2027, that means you are getting into school in 2025, so incoming MBA, your calendar link is different. So I have created your calendar link for that. So enrolled MBA, the first link, incoming MBA, the link below. Of course, your kids can join you. Like you have like the children, like their dependents. So your dependents can join you in the MBA program. So yeah. So I think I have answered every question. Do we have any more questions? Wow. So if you guys were like in a networking event with the school, that's why you people will not even talk. So everything I said today, like people will not even say anything, just keep quiet. So how would they remember you? Right now, how will I remember? There are a few people that I would remember, but like Fortune, because he's asked like 2 questions. But the remaining people, how will I remember you? So you need to start practicing and prepping with things like this. You can't just be complacent and say nothing. As an MBA candidate, you don't stand out from that. Okay, if we'll be sharing the PPT, so you will be getting the webinar recording that will have the PowerPoint presentation in it. So yes, you would get the webinar recording. The requirements for an undergraduate degree. I don't know what you mean by requirements for an undergraduate degree. What does that mean? Like for you to get into undergrad in the United States? This webinar is not for that, so I don't literally have an answer to that. I mean, you have to take the SATs and all of that, but that's not this webinar is not for undergraduate degree. So is the test mandatory? The test is advised, so it depends on the school. It depends on the school. So it depends on the school. So you have to have conversations with the school. Some schools are giving test waivers, but that will also be based off of the strength of your application. I've had clients get good scholarships with test waivers, but they're really good. They had like first-class degrees. They have great quantitative experience. So if you're going to get a test waiver, it's more of what does your profile look like without the test? And then they might or might not give you a test waiver. Okay, so Fortune, we would send the various packages that Tatanara Consulting has. After the webinar, we'll be sending it to you, so you will get it. Awesome. All right. So something else that I wanted to actually share before we actually end is starting out consulting understands how tough like the economy is, especially from people in West Africa and even other parts of the world, because like there's a lot of inflation everywhere. So for our services, we would actually be offering scholarships. Not for everybody, of course, for distinct candidates. So we're going to send out a scholarship application, and then based off of the participation or based off of what you have included in your application, based off of the question that you have been asked, some people will be moved on for interviews for the scholarship. And if you did get into the scholarship, there are different category. So you can get 100% scholarship, you can get 50%, you can get 20%, based off of the scholarship that we'll be providing you for the package. So we would also be sending you details of the scholarship application to actually fill your interest form, right, for Tatanara Consulting. Yeah. So Adedoyin, yes, do I stand a chance? Yeah, well, with 293 Adedoyin, I would advise that you take the test again. It's not bad, to be honest, but it's not good enough and it's not competitive. I don't know your profile, right? And if you schedule a call with me, am I able to tell like, okay, what your profile is? But I would say you need to get above 300-ish, and we can talk. So I think you should take another test. I think you should take like 2 months to really, really practice really well, and then take another test. But even within those 2 months, you need to be taking tests like every week. Like you're not just waiting for 2 months and taking a test. You won't do well. That's the problem, right? It's the GRA GMAT are tests that build upon like your skills. It's a mental thing. So it's not like you're reading for a traditional exam and then you write it after. No. So yes, your ICANN actually does count because it showcases that you have quantitative experience, and because America is really huge and there are several chartered accountancy bodies across the world, you just have to say that it's a CPA equivalent. So if you do have a CPA equivalent, it actually does hold water in front of the admissions team. We will send, yes, I'm sending the scholarship link to everyone. Yeah. Do you help your candidates make decisions on schools to apply for based off of the strength of their profile? Yes. So yes, we can advise you, but we're not going to help you make a decision. We can advise you, if that makes sense. So Ibrahim, you raised your hand. Can you type your question in the chat box? Hi. So should an MBA resume be different from a job-seeking resume? Now, that's a very good question, Abdul Muhsin, because a job-seeking resume for what? Is it a job-seeking resume for the United States, right? If it's a job-seeking resume for MBAs in the United States, the MBA resume should look that way. The good news is in the bootcamp, you get like you get your resume, you get like a resume template that you can use anyways. So you can use your resume the same resume templates, but it's a particular structure and format that is expected of you. A lot of schools they're not so hard and tough on it, but if you're already applying and you're coming up with a profile like this person is ready to get a job tomorrow, it counts for you in the right direction. You get. Oh, school selection. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you all so much. We already spent 11 minutes over time, and I know you all have amazing things to do. I look forward to hearing from you all. I can see a few people already responded and they have signed up for the bootcamp. We'll be getting back to you this week on everything, the bootcamp resources, the scholarship application, everything you'll be getting, a lot of the packages, so you're able to make like informed decisions. But I look forward to connecting with you all. If you actually did send me like a LinkedIn connection, please make sure that you add a note to say, oh, hi, Tomilola. I actually attended, because Anolu Abiodun is actually not my name on LinkedIn. It's Tomlola Abiodun, like I showed you. Tomlola Abiodun. It's okay for you. Please just say, oh, I attended the Tatanal event today. I would like to connect with you. If not, I wouldn't know who you are, because you guys are like 37 on the call. So I'm not going to be able to tell like, oh, this person attended, except like specific people that have actually spoken here. Then I can say, oh, I think I saw this person's name at the webinar of the workshop. All right. Okay. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a very productive week ahead.